You said the empire was millions strong. There were tens of thousands of battle-hardened warriors ready to fight. At their head was the divine ruler of the land, his word absolute, his will unchallengeable. They were crushed by fewer than 200 men. In the 14th century, the Inca Empire began a meteoric expansion, conquering territory across the Andes, and by the beginning of the 16th century, the empire, which they called the Land of the Four Corners, or Tawantinsuyu, controlled much of the western coast of South America and was the largest empire in the pre-Conti Americas. The Inca Empire was an absolute monarchy headed by the divine Sapa Inca, who ruled over the territory that was divided into 4 sections, hence the Four Corners part of the name, and administrated by a complex series of administrators, nobility, and bureaucrats. There was a wide variety of peoples the Inca conquered, with over 30 different languages spoken in the empire. Keeping all of this together was a complex war machine that relied on conscripts from the conquered peoples. Any man in the empire aged 25 to 50 would be liable for conscription, and men under 25 acted as orders to carry supplies and equipment. These conscripts spent most of their time farming, but don't let that fool you. Since the Inca gave basic combat training to most males in their empire, armies would be organized into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000, and were led by their own native officers. The exact gear used by the Inca depended on the region the men were conscripted from, with subject groups having their own fighting style they brought to the battlefield. Troops from the highlands made great use of the sling and bolus, which were 2 or 3 stones tied together by cord and could be thrown to trip off enemies. Those near coastal areas made use of spears for throwing and thrusting, and the bow was a popular weapon with the eastern lands. Ranged weapons could be used to soften up an enemy until it was time to close in to brutal hand-to-hand combat. The Inca used clubs made from wood and maces whose heads were made from stone or metal, usually copper or bronze, and would be in a star-shaped pattern, but could also be stylized to look like animal heads. Each prong of the star would concentrate the force of the impact on a small area, so each blow would cause massive damage. Wars are not won by dying, so the Inca would wear protective helmets made from wool, cane, and occasionally metal, and wore quilted woolen body armor and quilted or wooden shields. They would be richly decorated with bright colors, feathers, and other markings with cultural and religious significance. The colorful parade of impending death numbered around 200,000 strong. So, how did fewer than 200 conquistadors obliterate an army orders of magnitude larger and topple the largest empire in the New World? Through deception, as the Incas were practically unarmed and didn't expect an ambush. During the Battle of Cajamarca, there were only a handful of arquebuses, which are slow-firing and inaccurate, but the loud bang and plume of smoke no doubt caused the Inca to freak out when they were fired. The cavalry also did their share to terrify the Inca. A cavalry charge is terrifying to be on the receiving end of, and that's for people who know what a horse is. The fear it generated on a population whose largest beast of burden was the llama cannot be overstated. The stone and bronze weapons the Inca used can be devastating, but it would be next to useless against the solid steel breastplates and helmets that the conquistadors wore. And their woven body armor was no match for steel swords. The Spanish also had some microscopic health. A few years before, an epidemic of diseases such as smallpox broke out, killing between 2/3 and 90% of the population. The Sapa Inca in 1528 was killed in the epidemic, and this sparked a civil war. When the Spanish arrived, Atahualpa was in control, but had not been able to fully consolidate his hold over the empire. To top it off, the Inca belief system held the Sapa Inca as sacrosanct, so when he was threatened, either on the battlefield at Cajamarca or as a hostage later, no Inca would dare do anything that could possibly threaten his life, even when it was prudent to do exactly that. This perfect storm of factors caused the mighty Inca Empire to fall to an army small enough to fit into a college lecture hall.